In El Salvador in 1949, a man was walking home one night when he began to notice a small, black dog staring at him. It began to follow him, and as the man became irritated, he couldn't get the dog to go away. As he walked and consistently turned around looking back at the dog, shockingly, the dog grew bigger and bigger in size. Frightened, he pulled out his gun, aimed, and fired at the dog. To his surprise, the bullet left the gun in slow motion and then fell, fully intact, at the man's feet. Then, the dog grew even more and was the size of a horse at this time. He fired his gun again, but the same thing happened. Desperate, he began to pray, and finally, the black dog disappeared. It is said the man that night encountered a well-known Central American legend known as El Cadejo. Legend says that the Cadejo is a spirit of a ghost that appears as a dog with red and sparkling eyes. There are two types of Cadejos: the white Cadejo that represents the good, and the black Cadejo that represents evil. Many theories persist across Central American cultures as far as what the El Cadejo is and how it came about. Generally, though, the white Cadejo is often said to protect people, particularly drunks and troublemakers, while the black Cadejo is said to lure people deep into the woods or to influence them to make bad decisions. It is said that a Cadejo emits a strong, goat-like smell, and if you kill one, a foul smell will linger in the area for several days. Legend says if you are confronted by a Cadejo, you should never look away from it. This can make you go crazy. Also, never attempt to speak to a Cadejo, as this can also cause one to go insane. There are various origin stories of how El Cadejo came about, but the most likely explanation is that it originates from Mesoamerican beliefs. The tribes believed in animal spirits that protected people for their entire lives. They believed dogs had a connection to the afterlife. For example, the Aztec god Xolotl was extremely important in Aztec culture. This Aztec god had the head of a dog and was believed to be a soul guide for the dead. In the 1700s, when the Spanish arrived, it is likely their dog-based legends and the Native American beliefs mixed together that eventually transformed into the legend that we know today as El Cadejo. Many historians note that the Spanish embraced the duality of good and evil, which could be represented by the white and black Cadejo. Still, many cultures have different theories as far as how El Cadejo originated. One popular theory originates from a Guatemalan around a farmer. In the early 1900s, Juan Carlos lived near the town of Los Arcos. During the day, he would go to work and leave his wife and children at home alone. One day, Juan Carlos found a white dog near his house and tried to approach it. However, the dog ran away. After that, each time that Juan would try to follow the dog, it would always run away from him. Finally, one day, Juan saw the dog sitting silently and not moving its eyes, with its eyes closed. He approached it cautiously and touched the dog's paw, causing the dog's eyes to open. He backed up in fear as the dog began to speak. The dog told Juan that he had been sent from above to protect him and his family from harm, although they were not in need of protection anymore. The dog then closed its eyes and died. Juan buried the dog on his property and remembered the dog each time that he returned home safely to find that his wife and children were safe as well. There are both good and evil Cadejo stories throughout Central America. In Guatemala in 1979, a young woman and her sister went out to run an errand. As nighttime approached, they came to an intersection where a strange, black dog-like animal was waiting. It had burning red eyes and would not let them walk down the other road. Terrified of the creature, the girls decided to backtrack and return home. The entire way home, they walked backwards, terrified of what the creature might do. In the 1930s, a young Nicaraguan boy traveled with his great-grandmother to work one night so that she would not have to travel alone. After he dropped her off, he opened the door and saw a black dog with red eyes. He decided to run home since he was unable to bother his great-grandmother at work. Horrified of what he just saw, he ran faster and faster, but no matter how fast he went, the dog was right behind him the entire time. As he finally arrived home, he slammed the door, and the creature scratched at the foot of the door for several minutes. After some time, he heard it leaving, and he cracked the door open to see that it had left. Although most stories around El Cadejo appear to be stories passed down throughout the ages, the belief in this spirit remains prominent today. In Central America, it is said if you go out alone in the street at night, to always check behind you, because maybe a black dog with piercing red eyes could be following you.